It started like any other evening. The glow of the television was your only light, the room a soft sea of shadows. You scrolled through Netflix without thinking, eyes glazed from a long day, when a new suggestion popped up. At first it looked normal, a thriller you didn't remember seeing before, but something about the thumbnail tugged at you. It wasn't the title, Midnight in Apartment 4B, or the dark hallway on the cover. It was the figure at the very edge of the frame. They were dressed exactly like you. Same hoodie, same chipped nail polish, same posture on the couch. You blinked hard. The preview autoplayed. A woman sat alone in a dimly lit apartment, scrolling her streaming queue. She sighed, took a sip from a mug with a chipped rim, a mug just like yours. Then she looked straight at the camera, as if she knew you were watching. You told yourself it was a coincidence. Netflix was full of weird, experimental thrillers. But as you hovered over the title, a line of text appeared in the description box that made your stomach knot. She thought it was just a show, until she became the next episode. A nervous laugh slipped from your throat. Okay, creepy marketing, you muttered. Still, you clicked play. The episode opened on a shot of a quiet street at night. Your street. The same crooked lamppost, the same sagging mailbox with your apartment number. A voiceover whispered details only you would know. Your late-night habits, your building's creaky elevator, even the scar on your ankle from when you were a kid. You grabbed the remote, thumb hovering over exit. The voice continued, lower now, like it was under your skin. She thinks she can turn it off, but she's already part of the story. The screen glitched. For a split second, your own reflection flickered in the show's window. Not your living room reflection, but you, inside the episode, sitting exactly where the character was. Your phone buzzed. A notification, new episode recommended just for you. You hadn't finished the first one. Heart pounding, you opened the app. Another title had appeared, this time with no thumbnail, just a gray square with your initials. Underneath, it read, coming soon, her last Friday night. You turned off the TV. The room plunged into silence. But even with the screen dark, you could see faint letters burned into your vision, like after images. She can't look away. For the first time, you wondered if the recommendation wasn't a glitch at all. If maybe the platform knew more about you than you had ever allowed it to know. If maybe, just maybe, it was writing the script of your life one episode at a time, and you just hit play on something you couldn't stop. Outside, a car door slammed. You flinched. In the episode you just turned off, a car door had slammed too. The timing was perfect, too perfect. Your phone vibrated again. A message from an unknown number. Do not turn the TV back on, or you'll see what happens next. And yet, in the center of your darkened screen, the Netflix logo shimmered faintly. Almost like an eye, waiting for you to blink. You didn't sleep that night. Every time you closed your eyes, you pictured that frozen gray thumbnail with your initials on it. When you finally drifted off, the sound of the Netflix intro, that deep D-U-H-D-U-N, jolted you awake. The TV was still off, yet the sound had been unmistakable, echoing inside your head like a warning. By morning, you tried to convince yourself it was all a bad dream. Coffee, shower, normal routine. But when you unlocked your phone, the app had already pushed another notification. New season now streaming. The Girl in Apartment 4B. You swore you'd never open it again. But at work, curiosity clawed at you. During lunch you gave in. The episode thumbnails were no longer generic stills. Each one was a moment from your own life. The first thumbnail showed you leaving your apartment at dawn that morning, holding your coffee. The second showed you on the subway, earphones in. The third, and your stomach dropped, showed you sitting at your desk, looking at your phone exactly as you were now. The air around you seemed to thin. You clicked on the latest episode. It began with a shot of your office building, then panned to the exact window where you sat. A voice whispered, "She thinks she's safe in daylight." In the show, a character walked down the hall toward your cubicle. In real life, you heard actual footsteps behind you. You spun in your chair. A coworker was passing by, but the timing was eerie, frame perfect with the episode. Your heart raced. You slammed your laptop shut, but the sound continued faintly, muffled, like a radio station leaking through static. You shoved the phone into your bag. Hours crawled by. Every time you looked at a screen, your work monitor, the elevator panel, Even a digital billboard outside, the Netflix logo flickered in the corner, as if following you. That night you locked your door, double-bolted it, unplugged the TV, and buried your phone under a pile of clothes. For a while, it seemed to work. Silence returned. You almost laughed at yourself for being so paranoid. But then a soft glow began pulsing from under the clothes. Your phone. Without touching it, the screen lit up. A new episode had auto-played on its own. You could hear faint dialogue. It was your own voice, recorded without your knowledge, saying the things you'd whispered to yourself while making dinner. You backed away until you were pressed against the wall. On the phone screen, the episode ended with a shot of your apartment door. The camera began slowly pushing in. Then a text overlay appeared. Next episode, the knock. You stared at your door, every muscle locked. In the silence, a single sound rose, a slow, deliberate knock, matching the rhythm of the theme music. You didn't even reach for the door. You couldn't. The knock had stopped, but in its place came the soft chime of another notification. Your phone, still glowing under the clothes, buzzed like a trapped insect. Hands trembling, you picked it up. The Netflix app was already open. 5 new special recommendations had appeared overnight. They weren't shows anymore. They were titles, each with a date, and each date was a Friday. The first was Accident on September 20th. The next, The Fall on September 27th. Then Bleeding October 4th, Silence on October 11th. And finally, the last episode, October 18th. You scrolled down. At the bottom was a note. Play them in order to unlock your ending. Your blood ran cold. You tried deleting the app. It wouldn't uninstall. You tried powering off your phone. It stayed lit, humming. The titles began rearranging themselves, forming a single ominous phrase. Countdown to her final Friday. The first episode started automatically. The screen showed security footage of you crossing a street you hadn't crossed yet. In the video, a car screeched around the corner, headlights blinding. The timestamp matched the date on the title. The preview ended just before impact. You stared at it, heart hammering. Was it a warning or a prophecy? Determined to break the cycle, you threw the phone into a drawer and locked it. But from inside, the muffled sound of the Netflix theme played again. Louder. Then, faintly, a voice whispered, 4 episodes left. Over the next days, life blurred into a waking nightmare. Everything you did felt scripted. When you tried to take a different route to work, the next episode would show a matching scene from the alternate street. When you turned off your Wi-Fi and left your phone behind, random public screens, airport TVs, waiting room monitors, gas station ads flashed your name alongside the same countdown titles. On the night of the second episode, you locked yourself inside and sat in the dark. Still, your laptop powered on by itself. The screen showed you asleep on your couch from an angle high in the corner, like a hidden camera's view. The footage jumped ahead to you waking up and gasping, exactly as you were doing. Each prediction came closer to reality, each title darker than the last. By the time the 4th episode was listed, you noticed a timer had appeared under the Netflix logo, a red ticking clock counting down the days, hours, and minutes to October 18th. The final episode. You tried to warn friends, but whenever you texted or called, their replies were garbled, like bad subtitles. Some messages came back with the Netflix in as the profile picture. Others simply read, "We're already watching." And then, late one night, the app presented you with a new playlist, 5 short clips. Each was only a few seconds long. Each clip showed a different angle of you sleeping. In the last clip, a shadowy figure moved closer to your bed, frame by frame. The figure was faceless, but held up a screen playing the Netflix intro as it reached for you. At the bottom of the screen, red text glowed. 2 episodes left. Prepare for your ending. You left your apartment before sunrise, hoping that if you broke every pattern, the recommendations would stop. No phone, no laptop, no credit cards, just cash in a backpack. You rode 3 buses, crossed state lines, and checked into a nameless roadside motel with flickering neon. For a few hours you sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the silence. No notifications, no theme music, no whispering voice. Relief crept in. Maybe you'd outrun it. But when you went to the front desk to pay for another night, the clerk slid a key card toward you. It wasn't the motel's key card. It was black with a red N embossed on it, just like the Netflix logo. "This was left for you," the clerk said. Your heart sank. You took it without a word, returned to your room, and locked the door. The TV, which you hadn't touched, was already on. The screen was black except for white text. "Welcome back." You yanked the plug out of the wall. The screen stayed lit. Then an autoplay preview began, showing footage of you arriving at the motel from a hidden vantage point. The camera zoomed in on the exact room you were standing in. The phone on the bedside table rang, an old rotary model with a cracked receiver. Against your better judgment, you picked it up. Static hissed, then a whisper, "One episode left." You hung up. The static leaked from the unplugged TV now, filling the room like a low growl. On screen, a countdown ticked down from 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Under it, the title, "The Final Episode, You." Desperate, you bolted out the door and into the parking lot. The sky above was a sheet of pale gray. Every car radio, every store display, every digital billboard you passed flickered with the same countdown, the same title. It wasn't just your devices anymore. The algorithm had seeped into reality. By the time you reached the edge of town, the roads were empty. Streetlights flickered red. You heard the faint DUHDUN echo from somewhere ahead, not from a screen, but from the air itself, like thunder. You ran until your lungs burned, but the world began to feel flat, unreal, as if you were running through a set built for a show. Signs repeated, buildings looped. No matter how far you went, the same motel reappeared at the next corner, the same neon, the same black key card waiting at the desk. That night you sat on the curb, shivering. A red glow washed across the street, and a giant screen blinked on where there had been only darkness. It showed your own face, exhausted and terrified, staring up at it. Underneath, in bold text, "Up next, the final episode starts at midnight." Midnight came like a door slamming shut. The countdown on every screen, billboard, and radio station reached 0. The neon sign above the motel flickered out, plunging everything into a heavy, blue-black dark. For the first time, even the static in your head went silent. Then, one sound, the Netflix intro. Done. It didn't come from a TV or a phone. It vibrated through the pavement, the walls, the sky. When you blinked, the world around you had changed. The road, the motel, the street lamps, gone. You were sitting on a couch in a small, dim room. A living room. Cameras ringed the walls like black eyes. Across from you, a huge flat screen hung, suspended in the air. On it, a title card glowed. "Final Episode, You." A red progress bar crept forward. You were both the viewer and the star. The picture on the screen was live. It showed you sitting on the couch, right now, looking up at the screen. But behind you, in the shot, a door was slowly opening. You turned. The real door in the room was opening too. A figure stepped in. Faceless, clothed in shadow, holding the remote. It didn't move like a person, more like a glitch, each step a flicker. It pointed the remote at you. On the screen, your image froze mid-breath, as if buffering. A voice came from everywhere at once. It wasn't male or female. It was the same neutral tone you'd heard reading episode descriptions. "Thank you for watching. Your story has reached its conclusion." You tried to speak, but your voice was swallowed by silence. The figure tilted its head. The voice continued. "Every choice, every click, every pause, we've been learning. You've trained the algorithm. You wrote this ending yourself." On the screen, the progress bar reached the end. A big white button appeared. "Skip credits." The figure's thumb hovered over it. In the instant before it pressed, your phone buzzed in your pocket. You didn't remember bringing it. You looked down. A single line of text glowed on the cracked screen. "Do not let it press skip. Stand up now." Heart hammering, you lurched to your feet. The figure froze. The remote flickered in its hand, glitching between shapes. You felt a rush of cold air as the door behind it opened onto pure darkness. Another message appeared. "Walk through. End the episode before it ends you." You stepped forward. The figure didn't stop you. It seemed to fade, static dissolving into the walls. You reached the threshold and hesitated. The darkness looked bottomless, but it felt like the only choice left. Behind you, the voice began the Netflix intro again, louder, like a countdown. DUH, you stepped into the black. Everything blinked. You were back on your couch at home, TV dark, phone in your hand, dawn light spilling through the blinds. On the screen of your phone, the Netflix app showed a single new title. Continue watching. The final episode completed. Your reflection stared back at you in the black glass. For a moment it smiled, not quite your smile, before fading. The algorithm had given you an ending. Whether you escaped or only started another show, you didn't know. But somewhere, just at the edge of hearing, a soft voice whispered, "Up next,